Hi, guys. Welcome back to Finding Your Indie. I am Bonnie Paulson.
And I'm Andy Stevens.
And we are doing today another Monday marketing tips and tricks. I'm getting so good at that. Don't change the name on me. We are going to be covering something that we noticed. Mandy has been at some signings, and I've been at some signings the last couple of years, but Mandy was just recently at a signing, and she was like, Bonnie, we really need to be talking about what to do at signings to make them more successful.
And I also run a book convention, and I have for over a decade now. It's called Orlando Reads Books. It used to be Indie Book Fest, and it's in Orlando. So we talked about this last year during the event, and we went and actually talked to some people, tried to help them out to sell, because I sold a crap ton of books, and I sold a lot at this last convention too. And I think that we could really help some people out here.
Yeah, I agree with you. And another thing too about that, I took my son to that. That was his first author event. He had 2 books, and he shouldn't have done as well as he did, but because we went over the pitch, we were in the car for 16 hours, and I told Mandy, I was like, oh, I ran him through. He was not going to be at a book signing and embarrass me. This is not happening. So he went to this book signing, and we ran through his pitches. He only had the 2 books, different series. And we ran through his pitches, and we'll talk about this in a minute, but he ran through those suckers. He had them memorized, and all he had on his table were the books. And then he had matches because that was appropriate for his brand. That was it. And he sold almost completely out. I think he had 1 book left of each book.
He killed it. And then there were authors who had multiple books out, had been to many signings, and they would come over and talk to him because they were like, wow.
Yeah. What are you doing? Teach me how to do this. And he's like, I don't know. So the things that we are going to talk about today is exactly what I taught. And Mandy had made some suggestions to him too, that we talked about with regards to Bodhi, teaching Bodhi how to do this. And we want you to do successful, because there's nothing worse than going to a book signing and not, it's awful. It's awful. They're already hard.
Opportunity to connect with readers. So even if you're not making a sale there, you can pull them in. And do different things to get them to you as a person and to your book.
Exactly. I completely agree with that. Okay. So first thing to note is that a lot of the signings now, we have a lot more book signings now. You have a lot of opportunities, like Mandy said, to connect with readers. And that's what you should be doing, connecting with readers. The pandemic is over. People are finally getting back out there. Book signings are opening back up. We've got lots of opportunities. A friend of ours, Nikki Rome, she has Smut Lovers coming in. Is it September, right? And she's going to be in Orlando, or she's going to be in Florida as well. And it's an opportunity for people to see readers. 20 books. If you've been to 20 books in Vegas, they also have a book signing. There's so many opportunities. You just got back from Space Coast, right?
Space Coast Book Lovers, which takes place in Satellite Beach, Cocoa. So much fun.
It's another opportunity. These are opportunities to get out there and to meet your readers. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Is we're going to talk about how to make those more successful. And like Mandy said, it's not always about the sale, but it is about making that connection and not becoming a glazed backdrop, right? That you want to make a connection to where you're actually standing out to these people. That doesn't necessarily matter what you are bringing to the table in some instances, but more about your connection with the reader. So let's get started on the ideas that we have.
I want to talk about one of my hugest pet peeves, and I know this is a pet peeve of yours too.
Yes.
People are just sitting there.
Yes. Or they're bringing people to sit with them behind the table. No. If you have somebody helping you, let's hit first the sitting behind the table, and then we'll talk about the other people that are with you. If you are sitting behind the table, you have presented yourself as closed off to anybody being there. You look bored, you look unapproachable, you look fill in the blank. It's not appropriate. Get your butt up, get rid of the chair. Don't even allow a chair back there. Get out of and then some people need to stand behind the table. I think that was pretty appropriate, right? When we see people like standing behind the table, that's fine, because look at my wares, here, let's make a purchase. But if you're sitting behind it, it looks so unprofessional.
And I know sometimes, you're back there a long time. You can put your leg up on the chair. Sometimes I'll do that. So I'm still there, but I'm resting a little bit. But people who are sitting here on their phones, pay attention, come on now.
Exactly. What are you doing? This is not the time to be writing the next book.
One of the shyest people you can meet, but you have to fake it. You seriously do.
You're right. You really do. Now, let's say that you have people with you. They should not be sitting behind your table with you. They should not be sitting. Get them out of there. And then some things I like to do, this is one thing I was doing for Bodhi's. I was acting as his wingman. I would come up in the front if someone was like not really sure. And I was saying, oh my gosh, I'd pick up a book. Oh my gosh, this looks amazing. Can you tell me more about it? Because they were talking about the matches or whatever. And then he would start into his pitch. And then they got him. He got their interest. And then I was like, okay, awesome. I'm going to come right back. I go to get my husband and I disappear. Right. But he was able to close a sale because they were asking about the swag and they were sticking him there instead of letting him build into that. So I was acting as a wingman. Have them act as a wingman. If they're coming to your signing, make them work because they're just turning people away when they're sitting back there with their arms folded and they're watching. Like, no, bye.
So I have an assistant and she's the one, she helps me take the money,
Awesome.
I'm talking and she's doing that. I'm talking,
Yep. Or you're putting bookmarks in or you're whatever. Do
she's
the
packing
things.
the books up. So
that is awesome. I'm going to steal your assistant this year.
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm bringing one. I'm bringing my daughter. I'm actually doing a book signing because I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do one. But I don't like to do them for other reasons, but I'm going to do one this year. So it's fine. Okay. So another one is, so we're talking about that, right? So you're presenting your items and stuff. Overpacking the table is another one of my pet peeves. I think it's very confusing for readers. And I'm speaking as a reader right now. I go to these book signings. I go to book signings and I spend a lot of money. I will spend a ton of money. And I was at Orb last year and I saw a couple tables that were so packed that when people would walk by, things were falling off the table. And I was like, no, not good. Don't do that. If you have multiple pen names, no, unless they're even, unless they're divided up and it looks very clear.
I have multiple pen names, but I have
right
over here,
right. And that's what I would do. Right. That's what I would do if I was doing it. I would have them separated because then that way it looks like the half tables, like you have set up at Orb. You have half tables and they're nice big table sizes. They're perfect. So, but I'm not sitting there mixing my apocalyptic thrillers with my street romances. Like we don't do that. Right. They shouldn't be, like
Sweets here and my urban fantasy here and there.
Right. And there's a clear line. What is the difference? That's good.
I don't have a full table. I have one book of each. Somebody was like, oh, your table, I was at this last book signing. And there are people who have like huge amounts of stuff and that's fine. It works for them. But for me, I keep it very, very simple and people stop and they look because they're not overwhelmed.
And it might be working for them or it might not. We don't know. I don't know if it's working for people or not. I just know that you sold a lot of books because it's simple. Exactly. And that's what I think. I think people, so don't overpack the table. And here's a tip for not overpacking the table. Focus on a couple series or a couple main books, maybe some of your funnel openers, right? Maybe your swag, of course. You obviously want to bring in pre-orders, any pre-orders that you have. That's obvious. But usually when you have a pre-order, you're storing it under the table until the people come in. You don't want to show it as something that's for sale. So usually a pre-order isn't really something that you need to worry about. Bundles and box sets, these are great in this position. If you have them boxed up and they're ready to go, grab the bundle, then it's not so overwhelming. And you can pull things from under your table and put them on top of the table. So 2 or 3 books at a time is great.
Yeah. So what I do is I'll put, first a series, the books, but then I'll have a stack of books. So, and I offer it as a discount. Actually, I didn't mean to do this, but I have, the 3 books here. And then I'll put them together and I offered them for $30 instead of $12 each. And people just grab them. I sold all sets. This is for somebody else, but I sold all sets but one. And it was crazy.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really crazy. I was like, oh my gosh.
Well, people, readers are coming to buy books. They want you to tell them what to buy. But if you're, which brings us to the next thing. Actually, we'll come to that in a minute. But yeah, ultimately, when I go to those things, I'm planning on spending at least $500. I want the books. I want a book where I've met the author. I love that. I know I'm an author. I know a lot of authors, but I still like holding a piece of art that someone else has created. And then I can dive into it. My daughter and I both, we're huge fiction readers. I prefer a paperback. I prefer it. And she does. That's the only thing she'll read on. But sometimes I have to read ebook, right? And that's something else you can think about later, how to offer your ebooks. But ultimately, that's what's going to grab me. Now, swag is awesome. If you're going to have swag, that's amazing. Don't go overboard and offer the things, but make sure you have it set up to brand. Bodhi's was matches, little matchbooks. His are horrors set up in apocalyptic settings. I always had matchbooks too for my apocalyptic thrillers. I would not offer matches with my sweet romances. I wouldn't do it. Like, but for
I
you, like for you have a Christmas series, you
have
might be doing
little
Christmas
tiny
cookies.
snowglobes. Yeah, I have
Oh,
little
so
snowglobes.
cute.
So if
Yes.
they buy the set of the 3 books, they'll get a little snow globe with it.
Cute. Oh, I
And then
love that. I was doing Christmas ornaments.
I have little bookmarks that will have my table number on it that I'm giving to people because I'm talking to people throughout the event,
Yes.
getting them
Yes.
to my table with my table number on it. So and
Smart.
and if they don't get it, it'll still have the QR code where they can download the ebooks because I'm an ebook reader and I'm an
Yeah.
audiobook reader. So I'll have my ebooks and my audiobook codes in there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good idea. Now I saw someone else do this at a different event where they had one of those turn things, like a turn column, and they had their their ebooks, a code where they could buy the link right there, and they buy the link and they get a special link. And I thought that
Mhm.
was brilliant. I was like, okay, that's cool. That's a great way to, because there are some people who are only ebook readers. Like I
Mhm.
said, I'm a massive paperback fan, but I read ebooks too. I'm a reader. I don't even care. I don't care if it's on the back of a cereal box. I'll read it. It's fine. So it's fine. So another thing to do, if you're going to overpack the table, if you to avoid overpacking the table, do what Mandy did and up the value of your offer. So Mandy is saying, here's 3 books. You're going to save $6 and you get
Yeah.
a globe, or you get something to add something to it. Be like, oh yeah, but have it already packaged, right? Have it already appealing to them. Hey, grab this and this, bam, you're done. Have an assistant helping you. I like to take my kids to these things because it's free labor. I don't know. I have to feed them and that's it. I
They get
fed you.
books too. They get books too.
Yeah, they get books too, but you know what I mean? Like it's good. Okay. So now this was something that is what I spent the most time on with my son. And it's something that I think most authors should focus on. Laura Perez did a really good presentation on how to do your pitch last year at Orb. It was really good. Hopefully she'll do another one because that was phenomenal. She did such a great job. Ultimately, when someone comes up and says, hey, what are your books about? I don't want you to sit there and, oh, well, my grandpa asked me to write a series and like, no, dude, no, you need to be, this is exactly what I worked with Bodhi on. What you're going to say something, what?
So I was at a panel this couple of weekends ago, and I was like, I actually asked, I'm like, can I moderate next year? Because I was on the panel and my eyes were glazed over. I'm like,
Oh
what? I was
no.
like, so when you're telling people, I said I kept it
Mm-hmm.
short and sweet, to the point. I was like, oh
Yep.
my God.
To the point. A hook. That's it. That's all you should be saying. Hey, do you like romances or do you like sweet romances with the Western flair? You might
Yeah.
want to check out my books. Bam, done. Next. And if
Yep.
they're like, oh, I do like romances, great. Then you go into the hook of your blurb, like the one sentence gives the goals, motivations, and what's going to happen. Bam, next. If they're still interested, well, then you show them the back of the book, which should have the blurb on it, and let them read it. Once they are reading something, that's when they're shifting into the reader mindset of, okay, I want to buy this book. Until that point, no synopsis. You don't talk about nothing. It's talking about your writing. Here's the back of the book. Get the book into their hands so they can feel it. That was the biggest thing with Bodhi. It was, here's your pitch. This is what you write. And he was like, oh, well, this. I was like, oh, stop. In the car, I would yell at him. Nope, you're done. Shut up. I don't want to hear any more from you. We were fighting in the car about it. I was like, your pitch is too long. I almost fell asleep and I'm driving. It's too long. And he was like, Mom, it was 30 seconds. Too long. 3 seconds. Bam, bam, go.
Right? Yeah, there's so many books out there and they have to get
Too
through
many.
everybody, because
Oh,
I was at the event a couple weeks ago, I was talking to some people in line and I was like, Christmas Cove, it's a Christmas town in Florida. I was like, it's like Hallmark. And they're like, sold,
sold. You didn't have to go any further, but you could have. You could have gone into the first book, which is great. That's exactly what you should be doing. Bam, bam, bam. Next. Like Mandy said, when you are fast for the reader and they can make a fast decision. Yes, I want the book. Yes, I want the book. If you take any longer than that, they're going to be saying, nope, don't want the book. Don't need the book. Not interested. I have too many or too many authors to get to. That's just what they're
I was
doing.
going to say, what do you like to read? People
Yeah.
come in and say, what do you like to? I don't like to put pressure on people. And I sell a lot of books. Laura sells a lot of books. Laura, she's so personal.
Oh, so friendly. Yeah, she's amazing. Yeah. Ellie Perez, if you don't know who we're talking about, go check out her stuff. I mean, she's very talented. She's, yeah, very talented.
She's
So
my co-writer for a series too. So
yeah, she's awesome. Be fast, be friendly, you know, open up the conversation. Don't let anybody walk by. Ask them a question. If it has nothing to do with your books, comment on their scarf, for crying out
yep.
loud. It's in the
And
summer.
be
Why are you wearing a
genuine, you
scarf?
know? Yeah, be genuine.
Yeah, be genuine, obviously, but don't be like, same question to the next person.
Oh,
Break
I
it up
like
a
your
little
hair.
bit. I
Oh,
like
I
your
like
hair.
your hair. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly. No, don't do that. I mean, unless you're talking to me, because we know it's true. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, so so what we're doing, so you're going to treat it like an elevator pitch. Nice, short, 7 stories up and you're done. That's about 7 seconds. You're going to talk about your genre, what it's about, goals, motivation, short, 10 words or less. I would go with like 15 words or less, nothing longer than that. If you go any longer, it's only because they've asked you to, and then you direct them to the blurb, get the book in their hand. Okay. Now let's come back to the brand. Talking about like how you're dressed, the table, how you're acting at the rest of the reader event. This is a big deal. This is a
Yeah.
big deal, you guys. Like, your readers see you as your brand. So first of all, your banner. I saw a banner one time, and it was this guy. He had no shirt on. I mean, he's very swarthy looking, very like, alpha, whatever.
Yeah.
Beautiful banner. I mean, it was beautiful. The logo and everything was beautiful. And I went up and I was like, oh, this looks like steamy romance. No, I write cozy mysteries.
Oh,
Did that just totally startle you with that? Because I was like, I'm
wow.
sorry, what? you what? No, you don't. And I actually said that. I was like, no, you don't. I said, your banner is screaming contemporary romance. Like, it's screaming it. The guy's boobs were like up and, hello. It couldn't have been more obvious. Oh,
Mhm.
no, I write cozy mysteries. And I was like, we need to talk about your branding because it's very off. It's very off. Oh, and her covers looked like this contemporary romance, and she couldn't figure out why her review sucked. So keep that in mind. Your banner is, if you're going to have a banner, right? Like, keep that in mind. Another one I would think about this. I know you and I are talking about this, like with Bodhi. Like, are you dressed appropriately? Bodhi asked me how to dress. He said, should I wear t-shirts and jeans? And I was like, no, I think you should wear black slacks, a black button-up shirt, and I think he wore his pink tie.
Yeah.
So he wore bright, so he stood out, right? And so for him, the black worked because it was horrors, and the pink was just enough, like bright enough to where it was like, whoa, eye catching. And he's a good looking kid, so it was like, oh, hey. And he never sat down. I didn't give him a chair. I think I gave his chair to someone
Yeah.
over by
Took
by
his chair.
Laura's table.
I was laughing so hard. We took
You're
his
like,
chair to put the stack stuff on behind ours.
oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah. I think I just shoved it all in a box under the table. And I said, you don't sit down. You don't even act like you're sitting down. You don't even look at the wall to do a wall sit. You don't sit down. Mom, it's like 3 hours long. And I was like, life sucks, dude. I told you, book signings are hard. It is what it is. And he was like, all right.
You're working,
You're working. Yeah, you're working. One thing that he did do that I thought was good was and I've seen this before too. I know you've seen this, the QR codes. If you
Yeah.
want to send the money, send it here. Here's a QR code for the next one. That was really easy. There were some things that I think that we could fix, improve, but overall he did really good. So outside of the actual book signing, Mandy was talking that she was on a panel. Now, Mandy, when you were up there talking about your books, Sweet Romance, let's say, and you were talking about your Christmas Cove, were you up there saying it was an effing great book and that they
No,
should effing buy it, and all
no,
you B words need to step up and buy the effing book?
no,
Why?
absolutely.
Why?
Because that's not my brand. That's not Sweet Romance, you know?
Right. Were you out getting totally wasted when the readers were at the parties?
No, I keep everything very, but even with my urban fantasy, I keep it very separate. I
Right.
have Mia when Mia's talking, and then I have Ellie when Ellie's talking. But even Mia doesn't drop F-bombs because it's just not appropriate in that setting, in my
Right.
opinion. So
And that's more of a professional thing. Again, if that's your brand,
yeah.
that's your brand. That's totally like for instance, if you wrote bully romances, YA bully romance, like the upper NA YA bully romances, that would probably be appropriate to have a rougher look, to have that, to have more of the clothing set up and whatever. There is someone, I can't remember her name, who comes to Orb. Man, she
Mhm.
dresses the part. She
Yeah,
kills it
she
every
does.
time.
But it fits her
It
brand.
fits her brand. That's what I mean. It
Yeah.
fits her brand. It is on par every single year. And I'm always like, Mandy, I love her branding. It is so on it. And she's like, yeah, I know. And so and I saw someone else last year, I think it was, she came in all of this historical fiction gear.
Oh gosh, that was
Oh,
yeah.
oh,
And
and
people
she
stopped
did,
by and talked to her because she looked the part. They knew
yeah,
exactly what they were getting.
exactly. And she was gorgeous. I mean, the whole thing was gorgeous,
Yeah.
the entire setup. And it wasn't like, I mean, you could tell she put care into it and that it was her. It was just neat. But I did remember seeing her outside of the event, and she even spoke in like a Southern drawl. I was very like, I was like, I'm so super impressed. And she's like, oh, you're an author. And she actually, then she stopped speaking in the Southern drawl. And I was like, wait, you're in jeans and a t-shirt. Why are you acting like that? She goes, because this is my brand. I was like, very impressive.
Yeah.
Golfing clap. Very impressive. Like it was just cool. So again, if it's your brand and that's how you are, I have tons of friends who cuss. I don't care. But for me, sweet romance or Christian romance wouldn't be cussing. They
Nope.
wouldn't be doing that. And they wouldn't be out drinking, at least with readers, because that's not really appropriate in that brand either. So it's like you really need to know your brand and know what it is that you're representing. Because if you're at a reader event, you are presenting yourself to your readers, especially like VIPs, that kind of thing too.
And you're working the whole weekend, you
Oh my
know.
gosh, you are. That's why I'm like, I don't want to do any book signings, but Mandy's
Yes, you
making
do.
me, so it's fine.
Yeah. Well, this past, a couple weeks ago, it was amazing, but I was exhausted because you're literally working the entire time,
You're on the whole time. Yeah,
And I
you're on.
had a
And
great
that's cool.
time. I
Yeah.
had
See, it's awesome. And it's worth it. Look at all the reader friends that you made. That's awesome. I think that's great. Also, another thing, I went to a signing as a reader, gosh, a couple months ago. And I walked by this table and it was my normal genre, which is YA, anything YA. I love YA romance, anything. And I walked by and the covers were cool. And then I kept looking up and author, the author was standing, which was fine and looked appropriate, but looked totally bored and irritated. I was just like, okay, I'm not gonna stop. I don't want to bother you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt. I felt like I was bothering her. And it was a 3-hour event and it was about 2 hours in. So, and nothing had been touched on her table. I mean, and you could tell it was because there was a little bit of RBF going on and there was a little bit of, I don't want to be here, like fake it. Like Mandy said, fake it, even if
Hey,
you're the shyest person.
yeah, my family says I walk around with RBF,
So do
so
I.
I know that I have to work extra hard, you know.
I just feel I'm like this. I had
Smiles.
my kids were like, Mom, you look angry. And I was like, no, this is my face.
Yeah, this is me. But I stand outside of my table sometimes too. I walk
Yeah.
around
Why not? Why not?
with people.
Yeah. And I think that's smart. That's what you should do.
Don't go to somebody else's table and pull their reader. Don't do that.
Oh, no, 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 no,
Do
no.
that.
I would be a wingman for another author. Definitely. I would be a
Yeah.
wingman for another author. In fact, in Orb last year, when everybody was signing and Bodhi was signing, because I said I wasn't going to sit at this table, I went around and spent some money and I also acted as a wingman for some people. And they just didn't, I mean, nobody needs to know that you're doing it. Just go out and do it. Oh, this book looks so good. I got to go get my card. I'll be right back. Like
Mhm.
spur on a little bit of FOMO for the people who are standing there talking. So yeah, it's a big deal. And I know this, I feel like we're preaching about it, but at some point you have to decide. And this is where what we always say, have a goal, know your brand, have fun. This really applies to book signings, really applies to book signings. What's your goal for being there? Like really, is it to make sales?
To bring them in.
Yeah.
Get
To see
newsletter
readers.
signups. Like I said before, you might not get a sale, but they have something. I have my computer there where people can sign up for my newsletter right
Oh,
there.
nice. Nice. That's smart. Sign up,
Yeah,
get a free book emailed to you right
exactly.
now.
Yep, I do that too with my magnet. So
Yeah. See, and that's what you should do. That's awesome. And because the goal is to get readers, whether they're freebie seekers, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Get the readers there. That's the most important thing.
I'm going to book signings, spend money. So
Yeah.
I'm not.
And they want to.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about a freebie seeker from there.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if they're buying your paperbacks and stuff. I mean, they
Yeah.
want, and I say this all the time, like I mean this genuinely. The most exhausting thing for me as a reader is to go on to Amazon or to go onto Amazon or go on my Kindle and try to find my next read. I just thinking about it, I haven't read a book in probably 2 weeks because I'm so exhausted just thinking about having to do that. I want an ad to come across my Facebook feed that looks good so I can just go right there and go buy it. There was a direct store ad that grabbed me the other day and I was like, oh yes, went in, grabbed it, bought it. I was like,
Mhm.
I'm so excited. I actually have something planned for this coming weekend to read because I've got that. I'm like, yes, I've got something to read. That's what I want. And if I go to a reader event, I want you to tell me what to read because I need that. I don't have the time right now to sit and dive through all the crap out there. There's 14 million books on Amazon right now. 14 million books.
A
I
lot
could
of
read
books.
them all, but just tell me where to start. I don't know where to start.
Yeah. And I have people who come back every year and they're like, okay, what do you have new since last year? You know,
Ooh.
they'll- some of them like, oh, I got the ebooks, but I want the paperbacks too. So
Oh, I love that. I
Mhm.
love that. Yeah, that's awesome. So I know we're being kind of preachy about it, but we know how to sell the stuff. We know how to get it sold. And we really, really want you to be successful at a book signing because we're readers too. And that's what we want to see. We want to see success. We want to see an author that looks like they want to be there. I don't know. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
Interact,
Yeah.
interact, you know,
Interact.
interact.
Yeah. But interact before, don't make, because readers are shy too. Readers are
Yeah.
super shy. And it's awkward to just be like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm even interested in your table. Make me interested.
Right. Sometimes I'm like, oh, who did you come to the event to see?
Oh,
I
good one.
talk to people, like I
Yeah.
genuinely have a conversation with people. I ask
Yeah.
them
I
all
love
kinds
that.
of questions,
I
because
love that.
they don't know me. I'll see maybe they were there for somebody else, or maybe they were recommended by someone else to come,
Yes.
you know, have
Yep.
conversations.
Yep. I love that. All right. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments. We will reply. We want to talk about this. This should be something that people are talking about, how to be successful at a book signing rather than why you weren't, I didn't like it. Da, da, da. I know nobody likes it. Just get out there and do it. So
I am going to say one thing. I was just at the event and it was a rule there, and it's a rule at my event too. Do not break down before the end of the event, even
oh,
if you
that's so
sell
rude.
out your books. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, when the event does end, I have sold several books after because everybody has already broken down and I'm still sitting there. I wait a few minutes to get the stragglers to come through and I sell books.
That's awesome. Okay. You've heard it here. What to do. Finding your indie will tell you how to sell and sell your books and grab those readers. So if you do, let's actually talk about Orb for just a second. Do you have space for authors to come?
Yes, I do have a few tables. I require at least 3 books to sign.
Okay.
I have half tables and full tables, but we also have where people just want to come to the workshops. They
Mhm.
can come Thursday and Friday. We
Right.
have working lunch on Friday, and then we have a VIP author event Friday night, which is masquerade party. It's a dinner, and
That's
so
right.
anybody that comes to the industry day gets tickets to that too.
Okay, that's cool. That's right. And it's fine. No, I was just surprised because I mean, this is
Mhm.
I can actually see that filling up pretty quickly because it's one of the better events on the side of on this side of the country. So it's exciting. I love it. I think it's so much fun. I will be
Yeah.
there. I'm teaching on a bunch of stuff actually, I think. You're teaching on some stuff. John
Mhm.
Logston's teaching on some things. Who else
Yeah,
do you have?
I have
Heather
all
Hildebrand.
I have everything up on Orlando Reads Books. You can go to
Okay.
industry links, and then
Link.
they're all yeah, they're
Links in
all
the description. Go check it out. If nothing else, at least come and see how some reader tables are done and spend some money on some books. Who doesn't love that? All right, guys. Thank you so much. Hit subscribe, hit like, do the thing, share with a friend. Success is better when you're in teams. If you have any questions, let us know. All right. We look forward to talking to you again. Bye, guys.